Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you enjoy my video today, please subscribe. And if you click on the bell next to the subscribe button, you will be notified each time I post a new video. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I made these 5 cards. To make these cards, I'm using blush cardstock by American Crafts, white cardstock by Kaiser Craft, Vivacity cardstock by Kaiser Craft, although I don't actually end up using this particular paper, and some gold cardstock from my stash. To make my 5.5 inch square card bases, I cut each piece 5.5 by 11 and scored and folded it down the centre on the 11.5 inch edge. I also purchased the 6.5 inch by 6.5 inch Kaiser Craft Sparkle paper pad, the Kaiser Craft Christmas tree mini stencil, the Kaiser Craft Sparkle clear stamp and the Sparkle collectibles. I also bought the 12 by 12 sheet of cut aparts. I then used the stamp set and some embossing powder to make some more textured embellishments. My next step was to choose some pattern papers from the pad to use as my background. I've got all my bits and pieces here. I've got my cards and I've selected my background, my first layer. So I'm going to cut those now. I've made my cards 5.5 inches by 5.5 inches, so I'm going to cut these pieces to 5.25 by 5.25. So that they fit nicely with a little border all around. I'm also going to distress the edges and ink around the edges using my Prima distressing tool. Doesn't matter how rough you are with it. It's shabby chic, so tears and crinkles don't really make any difference. They actually add to it. So you can see I'm not being all that careful here. And once I've got that distressed, I'm now going to ink around it using my black Versamark ink. This just makes the border stand out a little more, the edge of the paper stand out a little more, gives the paper some definition. And I find that these little Versamark cubes are perfect for this job. So then that will be stuck on there like that. I'm going to go and do the same thing with the other 4 cards and I'll be right back. To attach the pattern paper to the card base, I'm just going to use double-sided tape. Make sure you've got your card up the right way when you stick the paper on, especially if you've got directional paper, so that if there's a top and a bottom to it, it's quite important which way your card is opening. With this one it's probably not going to make a lot of difference because it's non-directional. I use double-sided tape to stick my papers and cards together most of the time. I generally just use the 4 pieces of tape and don't put them right up to the edge just in case I decide further down the track that I want to put something underneath this layer. So once again, make sure we've got our card opening the correct way and centre our pattern paper onto the background. Here I have done the other 4. So my 5 cards are now ready to go. I've decided that what I'm going to do next is add another 2 layers. So to do that I'm going to bring in the same colour as the card base on top of this and then put another pattern paper on it. So I'm going to go off and cut those and get them ready to be applied. I'm also going to distress and ink all of those papers so they're ready to attach. The size will decrease by 1/4 inch in each direction, each piece of paper. So this paper was 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. The next piece I put on will be 5 inches by 5 inches, and then the one after that will be 4 3/4 by 4 3/4. This piece was 3 inches by 5 inches, so I've cut this piece to 2 3/4 by 4 3/4, and you can see I've got some foam tape on the back here. I'm going to use that to mount the pattern paper on top of the plain paper, and that will cover that texture paste up completely. I wanted to share a few things with you during my process. As I said earlier, I've distressed all of the edges of my papers, and I've used this tool to do it. But there is also a tool by Tim Holtz that does the same job. If you haven't got either of those tools, you can use your scissors. Just open your scissors up and scrape along your page or your paper like so. Does the same job. Now the other thing I wanted to talk about was I said that I have inked around the edges of all the papers. Now I wanted to just show you the difference if you ink and if you don't ink. That pink bottom layer has been inked, but have a look at those two. The top 2 layers on this one haven't been inked, and the top 2 layers on this one have been inked. I think you can see that it gives it more definition, so you can see the layers more easily. So that's my preference. Some people prefer not to do that, so choice of course is yours. The other thing that I have done is on this card here you can see that I have deliberately torn this edge and inked the edge so that it stands out more. To do that, excuse me, just tear into your paper and then roll it, which is not very easy for me to do today because I was picking some roses yesterday and a thorn decided that it wanted the rose more than I did, stuck into my thumb and tore a big piece of skin out right where my fingernail joins my finger. So I haven't really got full use of that thumb today. So you can see I've just rolled that, or tried to roll it as best as I can because I am right-handed, and of course my right thumb is temporarily out of action. And then once you've got it rolled back a bit like that, you can just ink up a bit, and that will highlight or make that stand out a little more. So I'll ink around this. Okay, so it is a messy process, I must have to say, so if you are going to do this, do it over your rubbish bin. It makes it a bit easier at tidy up time. So now I'm just going to stick these down. I'm using my Cutter Bee non-stick scissors to do that. Now we'll stick that down on there so that we've got as even as possible area showing around the edge, and then I'll use some foam tape to mount this piece onto it. Okay, so might stick it down the bottom this time, just make sure I've got this opening the right way, that's always a trick. And then put that there. You might notice that I decided to go with the same pattern on the top as I had on the background. In these paper pads there's 2 sheets of each pattern, which makes it very easy to use the same sheets again. If I had have thought of that I was going to do this earlier, I may well have cut the middle out of the background and used that for the top layer, but I didn't think of it at the time, and so I've used 2 sheets. Now the hard part, as far as I'm concerned, is finding embellishments to go on these cards. I'm a bit of a less is more girl, so I'm going to go through all of the embellishments that I've got here, the ones that I've made and the ones that I had in the pack that I bought. And these, of course, are cut out of the 12 by 12 cut apart sheet. So there's lots and lots and lots of things here for me to sort through, so I'm going to sort through those and come back when I've made a decision. Okay, I'm back. I've decided what I'm going to do. This one is going to have 3 baubles across the front. I've already done the attaching of the ribbon to those 2, but I thought I'd do this one on camera. Using my Crop-A-Dile, I need to put a hole in the centre of this bauble. Then, using this little the trouble with having an unusable thumb. Put that in the hole and then use my Crop-A-Dile once again to flatten that. Hoping that I've got it in the right spot. And there we go. Now I've got some black ribbon, and if the last 2 were anything to go by, getting this ribbon through here and tying a knot with a band-aid on your finger is a trial to behold. So I'm going to give it a go, but if it takes too long, I'll cut the video and come back to you when it's done. So far so good. I'll use those tweezers. Grab that. Ooh. There we go. Excellent. Excuse me. Okay, so now I'm going to trim that little piece off. This is a malfunction. And this one of them will have some foam tape behind it, so let's say that one. And these 2 will be stuck down with some glue. Just some glue around. Turn that over. Position them about like so. Stick it down. And then the same for this one. Fine line dispenser. See if I can line them up. Put them down there. And then this one here can go in the middle on top of the 2. These are the 3 baubles that I made using the stamp and embossing powder. So, should I put that up there a bit? Maybe. Yes, I think so. So I'm going to make that one a little bit higher. Now to put this down behind here, might have to peel that up a bit. Roll that behind there. Put a bit of glue maybe to keep it in place. Put that down there. Okay, that's one done. And there we have that one. So that's that one finished. This is going to be just some Christmas trees. Now these Christmas trees, this Christmas tree that I have in my hand at the moment is one that I stamped with the stamp set, then heat embossed. And I'm just going to stick that down there using some glue once again. And this little Christmas tree is out of the embellishments pack. Because this has got some glitter in the background, I may have trouble sticking this down, but we'll see how we go. This one is another one that I've stamped and embossed from the stamp set. So there's two different size trees, and this little tree here, I've stamped that onto one of the pattern papers that are in the 6-inch pack. 6-inch pad. And this one is out of the collectibles package. And as I can see that I'm definitely having trouble getting them to stick down, I'm going to have to keep pressing them down just to make sure that they do stick. And that one also is from the collectibles pack. The season's greetings, might just press around the edge of that. Ink around it with some black ink. And then mount that on some foam tape, or foam squares, whatever you like to call them. And position that just in that top area there. I may need to reattach that with a bit more glue, but at this stage, if this glue doesn't work, I will reattach these at a later date with my hot glue gun. Okay, just a little bit crooked, straighten that out. Okay, so that's card number 2. Very simple. One layered on top of the other, with the different sizes of the baubles on the two different sizes. So this one comes off the 12-inch by 12-inch sheet of cut aparts that I've cut apart. This one comes in the collectibles pack. They're exactly the same. I just thought that they might look nice layered on top of each other. So I'm going to distress the edges of both of them. Do this small one as well. I'm going to attach the larger one with double-sided tape. This is Kaisercraft tape, and I find it very sticky. It works exceedingly well, and but you do have to be careful with it as you go, because once it's stuck it basically stays there. So this one, make sure I got the card up the right way, goes centrally on that layer. And this one will have some foam. Position that in the middle. Line up that central string. that down. So there we have our card. You can see the beautiful shine to the baubles. Now the gold one is very simple. I've cut one of these collectibles in half. I'm going to ink around the edge of that. And I'm going to distress around this one. Ink around the edges again. And I'm going to stick this piece down flat because we have got the dimension behind that piece there. And I might use some glue for this one. So, because it overhangs only halfway, I only want glue on this half. So just position that there. Before I stick that down permanently, I want to put some glue behind this one. And slip that in behind there so that it overhangs to the edge. Then pop that one down like so. Oops. Make sure it's nice and straight. And then this piece here, some glue, and stick that in there just under so it pokes out from the edge of that. So that's that one. The last one here is very simple layout again. I'm going to distress this cut apart. This is off the 12-inch cut apart sheet. Give it a bit of a coat with some ink. And we're going to just position that there, stick that down with some glue. This one's going to have glue all over it because it's being stuck completely to the background. Try and position that centrally and with an even border around there. And then these two Christmas trees were created with the stamp once again and some black embossing ink. This one is over some white card. And this one is over some pink pattern paper out of the 6x6 or 6.5 inch by 6.5 inch paper pad. We pop that down there. So the whole front of this card, this particular card, is flat. There is no foam mounting here, except for this layer here, which is of course foam mounted onto the card itself. And so that is that one. And here's a look at all of the completed cards. I hope you enjoyed my video today. Don't forget to subscribe so you can see my new videos as they become available. I would love it if you would share my videos with your friends. I love reading your comments too, so please don't forget to leave one for me.